Today's episode of the Bleav in Steelers show is brought to you by betonline.ag. Ike, Thanksgiving is here. NFL Week 12 is here. It's going to be a lot of football to gamble on this holiday weekend. If you want the best place to do it, betonline.ag is the place to be.
365, 24/7. Make sure whatever sport y'all want to bet on, go to betonline.ag.
You can see that link on your screen right now. Use our promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to get started to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, cue the music. It's time to start the show. And welcome to the Bleav in Steelers show on the Bleav Network, the Thanksgiving edition. I'm your host, Mark Bergin, joined as always by my guy, Pittsburgh Steelers scouts, two-time Super Bowl champion and 12-year veteran of the team, number 24, Ike Taylor. IT, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Recording this the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. NFL Week 12 is absolutely loaded. How you doing this evening, my man?
I'm good, Mark. Happy Thanksgiving as well. My mom just put me up a plate of some dirty rice, so that's what I was eating before I even hopped on the show. Don't mind.
Oh, man. Save me some, Mike. I'm going to have to fly down to Orlando to get me some of that because I've had your mom's gumbo before, and it does not disappoint.
Got to, bro. Got to. I'm telling you, if you need me to ship it to you, I'll go ahead on FedEx that thing and put it in the freezer.
I would take you up on that, Ike, in all honesty, and I hope I'm within earshot in the Taylor household because I do think that highly of your mom's cooking. I've had it before. It is delicious. And, oh, man, like, honestly, Ike, it's one of the first things I bring up to people when I talk to you about, oh, hey, who's your co-host? Ike Taylor. You need to try his mom's gumbo. It's that good. It's that New Orleans Cajun cooking.
Man, I appreciate that, man. I'm sure she'll appreciate the kind words as well.
Absolutely. We will go through our top Thanksgiving dishes on today's episode of the Bleav in Steelers show, but we're going to start Steelers and Colts on Monday Night Football, Ike. Colts with the interim head coach Jeff Saturday. The Colts have now played 2 competitive games, and I tell you what the recipe is going to be, stopping Jonathan Taylor and the Colts ground game. Now, Saturday against the Eagles, very nearly pulled off the upset, and it was the first time the Colts all season had scored on their opening drive. It's going to be a line of scrimmage, ground and pound game, in my opinion. That's how the Colts had success a year ago when Taylor nearly was the MVP of the league, Ike, and he went for more than 1,800 yards. I expect more of the same on Monday night when the Colts take on the Steelers.
Yeah, Coach T made a comment I saw. They asked him about Jeff Saturday, the interim head coach, and his thoughts. And he felt like Jeff Saturday was a good person, was a good player. And he's doing a good job so far. But he definitely said, I know Jeff, and Jeff is a former offensive lineman, and they will try to establish the run. But that's a given. We talked about that on the show a couple of weeks ago on what Jeff Saturday will bring to the table. And that's getting Jonathan Taylor back up and running, starting Matt Ryan to see what he can do off that play action. But that's exactly what they're going to do from here on out because Jeff Saturday is a former offensive lineman, and he knows exactly how to hit the defense.
I think the return of Matt Ryan to the starting lineup, Ike, has made a difference too. Sam Ehlinger, really not the guy there, and he's a young player, but Matt Ryan, a proven veteran, even with the shoulder injury. This offense has been better with Ryan on the field. I think that's made a huge difference. And so I'd expect more of the same. He at least gives the Colts a chance, and Colts in a weak division in the AFC South are still in the hunt. It's still a bit of a long shot for the Colts. But for any last hope that the Colts have, I would at least try to ride this thing out and see what Matt Ryan gives you at the quarterback position. Just my opinion.
Yeah, you said it best. I mean, he got the recipe, and that's a defense who's playing optimistic right now. They did well against the Philadelphia Eagles. They just didn't have enough ammo left in the tank to score more points than them. And also, man, that running game. Just Coach Jeff Saturday established that running game, and that's perfect for Matt Ryan. You can't ask Matt Ryan to be Matt Ryan. Of course, he's up there in age, so he's able to sit in the pocket. But here we go, Matt Ryan again. He had one of the longest runs of his career scrambling a couple of weeks ago against the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Coach Jeff Saturday, man, is just a different kind of energy when he comes into the building. When you have former players who got that enthusiasm and they bring that toughness to the table, you best believe the Pittsburgh Steelers going to be in for it.
The looming question with the Steelers and the offense, and the Steelers have been better offensively since the bye week. Still not up to snuff in terms of league-wide. But the looming question, the elephant in the room, I'm going to put it out there. When's Diontae Johnson going to get into the paint and score a touchdown? He doesn't have one yet in the 2022 season.
Yeah, I think Coach T, man, he hit it on the head when he said, just waiting on Kenny Pickett. In this business, there is no such thing as a waiting game in the NFL. You got to learn on the go, and you got to learn ASAP. What I did see with Kenny Pickett, him starting consistent weeks, he's seeing the field. He's just seeing the field a little bit slow, but I guarantee you, the more he plays, he's going to start reading his keys ASAP, and that's just with experience. So I'm seeing a lot from Kenny Pickett. I'm seeing him getting rid of the ball faster than he was, and him learn on the go. And I think he's just ahead of the game right now because he did play all 4 years in college, Mark. So it's just a matter of time, even though time is not on your hand when you talk about the NFL. But I think he'll be just fine. Najee got going. Warren wound up getting hurt. I think he hurt a hamstring in the game, in the last game. But other than that, we see Najee, when Najee gets there, people acting like he's Superman. He's back. But getting Pickett, GAP, and we're talking about gap. You know what I'm saying? So getting Pickett back in the game, getting him involved early and often. So when we do that, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have a chance. It's just, Kenny Pickett just seeing the field faster.
Ike, you've lent me your psychic abilities some this season, and I mentioned how a few weeks back the Steelers hadn't had a rush more than 20 yards, and the offense putting up more than 20 points in the game. This has got to be the week Diontae Johnson scores a touchdown. And this was a player who was a Pro Bowler a year ago with Big Ben. I know it takes time to develop rapport. You put Kenny Pickett out there in week 4 against the Jets, and you might not have had the rapport that he would have had with Pickett had Pickett been the starter from the jump. So you're trying to figure this out on the fly. I certainly get that. But we're talking about a player who, again, was a Pro Bowler a year ago, and that level of production hasn't been, what you would have expected for that huge contract extension he signed on the eve of the season. All Diontae Johnson's fault? No, but those are the factors that go into, okay, a guy's a Pro Bowl player, one of the top 4 at his position, at least, a little bit based on merit, a little bit based on fan vote, Ike. Hopefully they can get him going and he can develop a rapport with Kenny Pickett. And that's just something I'd like to see. And when I saw that Diontae hadn't scored this season, it was like, oh, man. Again, I know he had that rapport with Big Ben, but the offense, it just hasn't been there. And it goes back to what I've said in previous episodes too. It's like that Spider-Man meme where everyone's pointing at each other of what are the problems with this offense right now. And you can point to play calling, you point to a line play, you can point to skill position play. We need to continue to see improvements in the offense. Again, I think we've seen a little bit of it since the bye week, but it's still just not where it needs to be. Diontae Johnson not scoring a touchdown this far into the season. It's one of many, many failures this offense has had this season.
Yeah, I mean, the offense had a lot going on. You talk about guys in and out of the offensive line. You talking about Najee not being 100%. You're talking about going from Mitchell Trubisky to Kenny Pickett. So it is just like a growing pains here. And I think Diontae said it first. He said it early. Like, this is going to be one of those years where Pittsburgh is not normally Pittsburgh. And that's, above 500, trying to get into the playoffs, trying to hoist in Lombardi. So that's just what it is. I think a lot of people didn't want to hear that at the time when Diontae Johnson said that, but Diontae Johnson was 100% right. So the fact that he said that early, he understood not having a Hall of Fame quarterback and having them growing pains with a rookie quarterback is just going to take some time.
Ike, you mentioned Jaylen Warren earlier dealing with that hamstring injury. The Steelers have signed Master Teague the third, running back out of Ohio State. One of the best names as well, Master Teague the third. I love that. Hopefully Warren can get right. Not sure if he's going to play Sunday, but what I have my eye on is obviously Najee's gotten going the last 2 weeks, which has been encouraging. But if Warren's not able to go, who fills in that role? Who fills the void? Who helps carry the load the way that Jaylen Warren has done this season? Because that has been a bright spot for this offense for the Steelers.
Yeah, other than Pickens, other than GP, Jay Warren has been one of the bright spots. And even Najee was giving the young man some props when Najee needed a break or he needs some kind of rest. The production level didn't fall off at all. He's good coming out of the backfield. He's good picking up the blitz, and he's always falling forward. So to have a rookie like Jay Warren before he got injured was a huge plus for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we're going to see what Master Teague do when he gets in the game, but you're 100% right, man. They missed Jay Warren coming out the backfield because he's a little bit more elusive. He's not a big bruiser and he's not as athletic as Najee, but he's always falling forward. And every time he puts the ball in his hands, he makes something good happen.
We will see, Ike. And again, on Monday Night Football, the over-under at 39 points. And I'll just go ahead and give you my score prediction now, Ike, because there's only so much that we can preview. I like the way that the Steelers traditionally play in prime time. I've got them winning on the road 23-20 against the Colts.
Yeah, you took my score. I was going to say 24-20 Pittsburgh Steelers. So you said 23. I was 24-20, but that sounded about right. TJ Watt, man. I saw a sign in the stadium for Pittsburgh. It says it's always good to have a Watt. And they ain't lying. You know, when you got a Watt on your team, usually something good happens. And since TJ Watt came back from his injury, it's just the energy that he brings. I don't know if you checked out his interception. I don't know how in the world he caught the interception at the line of scrimmage. I couldn't catch interceptions if he just hit my hands wide open sometimes, or a majority of the time. This young man caught an interception as soon as it left Joe Burrow's hands and came down with the ball. But that's T.J. Watt. What do you expect? Coach T said it last year. He's not from here. He's from outer space, and he's definitely not lying about that.
Did you see Joe Burrow's reaction? It was deja vu all over again, Ike.
He couldn't believe it. He like, this guy. Yeah. You could just see it in his body language. Like, every time this guy get around the ball, and that's the former league defensive player of the year, T.J. Watt. Like, every time this dude get on the field, something bad always happen to me. Something good always happen to him. But that's just T.J.
Yeah, and Ike, I'm over here with my popcorn. I like that there's beef between Watt and Lyle Collins. I love it. Give me more of that in all honesty.
I mean, that they make you step the game up, bro. When there's an understanding that you don't like me and I'm, it's like, man, may the best man win. You got to see me for 60 minutes. You know, ain't no friends when it comes down. Once that whistle blow, and you in between the white lines, I don't care if it's my mama. I don't care if my son. I don't care who it is. Hey, man, I don't like nobody if you're not wearing my uniform. If we ain't got on the same helmet, I don't like nobody. And that's exactly how Collins and TJ was. But it's also good for the sport. You know, when you got guys at that professional level and they're already playing at a high level, and then you add on, I don't like you, and I'm gonna make it known that I don't like you, and you got to see me. That's just icing on the cake.
Ike, I love that. I absolutely love that. And we'll see. We'll see. Steelers did manufacture 2 turnovers against the Bengals because that stunt that Robert Spillane tipped the pass that set up the Levi Wallace interception. Other than those 2 picks Burrow threw, and those were really a credit to the Steelers defense. Burrow played about as well as he could have. And remember, he was without Jamar Chase for the entire game and without Joe Mixon for a good portion of the game. And the Bengals still carved up the Steelers. And so I'm concerned because it's like we need to make sure Kenny Pickett develops pretty quickly here because we're going to have to deal with Joe Burrow and company for the next decade. But credit the Steelers defense on those 2 plays, creating turnovers in a game where for the struggles that the Steelers offense had in the second half, Ike, I actually think that Pickett probably played his best half of football in the first half against the Bengals. It was the tale of two halves, but we might be talking a little bit more about the defense and the struggles that they had against Cincinnati, if not for the offensive struggles that we saw in the second half. Like, it's a team sport, and that's just the way that I saw the Week 11 game against the Bengals.
Yeah, P-Ron got his opportunity once, and he just turned into another grown man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got the ball. Joe Burrow found him in the flats. He was making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people miss, or either it was just hard to tackle him. It took 2 to get him down. So, just looking at the Cincinnati Bengals from their backfield standpoint, they got good problems. Now for the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's just once you get to that tackling part, make sure you secure the tackle. I saw too many missed tackles.
Yeah, Ike, I'm with you there. Out of the backfield, the coverage, and P. Ryan got into the end zone 3 times. Also, T. Higgins looked like he was back in East Tennessee, dominating at Oak Ridge High School. He played a very good game. I know he had like 150 and some change as well at the receiver position.
Yeah, T, but they use T all different ways though, Mark. They put him in the slot, they put him outside, inside, left and right. They just didn't line him up at the X. So I think that out Joe Burrow as well, because once you put somebody in the slot like a T Higgins, it's kind of like the ultimate mismatch. You put them on the third corner, or a safety who's used to not cover, or a linebacker who just can't cover. So they found ways to get T Higgins the ball, and he had a hell of a game because I got him on my fantasy team.
Ike, your true allegiance comes out. That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, Ike, we will move on. Did you want to give any kind of, you had the 24-20 Steelers, so we've given our predictions. Anything else? Otherwise, we will move on.
Pittsburgh Steelers got to do in order to beat the Indianapolis Colts. They got to stop the run. That's just, they know, like Coach Jeff Saturday, he's already said, it's already established his last 2 games. We going to run the ball, and you're going to have to stop us. And that's exactly what the Pittsburgh Steelers defense had a question mark on stopping the run. So we shall see. Pittsburgh stop the run, they're going to come out with the W. Pittsburgh don't stop the run, it's going to be tough to beat the Colts.
Yeah, if you want to put 2 players on it, Najee Harris versus Jonathan Taylor, whichever player has the more successful day, I think that team wins. I'm with you there.
Correct.
We will move on. 2 of your teammates, Hines Ward, James Harrison, among the 28 modern era players for the Pro Football Hall of Fame 2023 class. Ike, even be among the 7 semifinalists is a tremendous honor. And eventually, I think both players will get in. I don't think either player will get in 2023, but I want to give you the floor. You played with both of these players. The floor is yours. Take this in any direction you'd like, because even to be a semifinalist is a tremendous honor.
Yeah, I thought Hines Ward should have been there. But they say, meaning the board for the Hall of Fame committee, we already got too many Pittsburgh Steelers in there. I say, obviously, the front office been doing a heck of a job of drafting these guys, and these guys wind up being, either Hall of Famers or, Hall of Fame semifinalists. That says a lot about the front office and them evaluating drafting talent. For Hines Ward should have been there. I was a teammate of Hines Ward, nicknamed AKA Wody. That's what he called himself in third person. For a wide receiver, to have defensive guys, Hall of Fame defensive guys, be aware where you're at, said a lot about Hines Ward, because they know if it had anything to do with anything doing with crack blocking, he was going to try to knock your head off, and he was going to do it with a smile. That's exactly what he was going to do it with. So Hines, when you looked at Hines, he wasn't the fastest. He wasn't the shiftiest, but him being a semifinalist says a lot about his career. Hines gives, in my mind, people who are not going to wow you with numbers when it comes to the combine. He's just a football player. Hope. I look at Deebo Samuels right now for the San Francisco 49ers as a Hines Ward. Hines was just a tough son of a gun. If you watch Hines in Georgia, when he was playing at Georgia, he was a running back, the quarterback. And if you ask him to play free safety, he'll come down and knock your head off. He would have did the exact same thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they would have asked him to play all positions. When you wanted a third down conversion and they knew it was going to 86, Hines Ward made a play. When you needed a block or a crack to make a big play, Hines Ward made that play. When you was looking for some kind of consistency throughout the tough games, look for 86. When you was just looking for a Super Bowl big play, look for 86. 86, Hines Ward was just that guy. You know, he's just a football player. You just can't put a wide receiver name on him. Of course, he played wide receiver, but Ward was just a football player, man. He played with passion. He played hurt. He didn't let anybody know, and everybody feared a wide receiver on the defensive side.
Ike, let me jump in here, and then we'll get to Harrison. I've got two things about Ward. Coming into the NFL out of Georgia, playing a variety of different positions, something he told us about here on the Bleav in Steelers show ahead of last year's Super Bowl. And it was great talking with him and his college teammate, Terrell Davis, two former Super Bowl MVPs. But I remember when he was coming out of the draft in Georgia, he doesn't have an ACL on his left knee, and that's a huge red flag. And then it's just like, okay, he's not the fastest. He's not the shiftiest. He always found ways to get open. Didn't matter where he was on the field. He found ways to get open and consistently make plays. So there's that. But then a story I have personally, Ike, and the reason I even know who you are before we even started doing the show is because I played Madden as a kid. And I remember when you had Hines Ward on your team in Madden, I can't remember if this is the year they put the hit stick in. It might have been a year or two after. They had to where you could be the offensive player and block for the running back running the football. Well, if you had Hines Ward on your team, it was like having an extra offensive lineman, and you could move him anywhere on the field and pretty much take out anyone you wanted to. It was like that in the Madden video game. I can't even imagine what it was like in real life because, like you've told me, Ike, it was like we had to sign peace treaties with this guy in practice because we were that scared of him.
Yeah, we used to tell Wody, hey Wody, if it's a run play and you got opportunity to knock me on the side of my temple, hey bro, just lay up on me, bro. Please lay up on me, because when you hit somebody on the side of their temple, either you're gonna break their jaw or they'll be out 4 or 5 games. So hey Wody, I'm your teammate. I'm glad I'm your team. Just make sure you don't kiss me on my temple, man, because I got a family to feed.
Yeah, absolutely, Ike. So I'm with you that Ward eventually deserves to get in. Personally, Ike, I would put Torrey Holt in before Hines Ward. But Hines Ward eventually, at some point in time, it's really hard because each class only gets 5 players.
Correct. Yeah,
All
that's
right,
tough.
so
But
go ahead, Ike.
that's tough. But the fact, because I know you about to ask me, we about to talk about James Harrison, aka Debo. The youngest out of 11 kids. So guess what you had to be? You had to be tough. You had to scrap. You had to fight to get your food. You mom's favorite. You're the biggest. You've been going against the odds for the longest. You know, going to Canada, going to Europe, getting cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers, getting cut by the Ravens, getting cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers again, and we finally bought him back. And I'm so glad we bought Debo back, because all Debo knew was work. Never complain, never whine, never nothing, because he know, man, once I put this work in, once y'all give me this opportunity, man, undrafted free agent. Once y'all give me this opportunity, I feel sorry for everybody else. So that was James Harrison. When you want to get the Super Bowl, the one we played in Arizona against the Arizona, no, the one we played in Tampa against the Arizona Cardinals, it's one of the best plays in Super Bowl history. You know, that interception for a touchdown before halftime. That was James Harrison. When you want to look at a former defensive league MVP, that was James Harrison. For a guy to be 5'10", jumping over offensive linemen just to try to score a touchdown, that was Debo. When you want to talk about a sack guy who perfected the sack, and people feared him, not only quarterbacks and offensive coordinators, but even offensive linemen, that was James Harrison. When you want to talk about a guy who knew the Pittsburgh Steelers way, and really both of these guys were just Pittsburgh Steelers. Tough, eat, sleep, drink, football. That's Hines and that's James Harrison. But getting back to James Harrison, man, it's just he struck fear. When you want to talk about when it's being, -10 and he's coming out with no shirt with just a beanie on, that's Debo.
Oh, and it looks like we lost Ike really quickly. We will work to get him back. But talking about James Harrison, we will work to get Ike Taylor back here in just a second. On the field for the most iconic play in Super Bowl history. And like for me alone, that alone should get him into the Hall of Fame someday, because when you talk about the most famous play in the Super Bowl, you think about James Harrison. You think about the Malcolm Butler play against the Patriots against the Seahawks. Those are the two plays that you think of when you think of great plays in Super Bowl history. So I think that's kind of the case Ike was trying to get to. We will work to get him back here on the Bleav in Steelers show. And give me just a second. And I think that's the case for James Harrison. I think that's the case where you would put him in at some point. I'll go through my 5 players that I would put into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in the 2023 class, though. Joe Thomas, Darrelle Revis Island are in. You shoehorn them both in. They're both in, no doubt about it. Torrey Holt, DeMarcus Ware, Devin Hester. That's who rounds out my 5 Hall of Famers for the 2023 class. All of those players among the 28 players named. We found that out earlier this week. So we'll see who ends up getting in. Now, the case Ike always makes for Harrison is that the Steelers didn't ask him to rush the passer every single play, which is why if you look at the sack records, I would put DeMarcus Ware in over James Harrison, but it was a little bit different because Ware's rushing the passer on every single play, whereas the Steelers are asking Harrison to say, hey, can you drop into coverage depending what a 3-4 defense is? And it looks like we've got Ike back now. Ike, I'll run you through my 5 really quickly for the 2023 class of who I would put in.
Okay.
Joe Thomas, Darrelle Revis, Torrey Holt, DeMarcus Ware, and Devin Hester. But I know you've told me this in the past. Ware has better sack numbers than Harrison, but you played on the defense and you know that the Steelers defense didn't always ask Harrison to rush the passer on every single play, which is why he has worse sack numbers.
Yeah, I'm putting Debo before Ware. And this is no difference.
Okay.
But I'm putting if we just asked Debo to rush, Debo would have had 20 sacks a year. So Debo did more than rushing. I mean, at one point in time, Debo was leading the team in interceptions. So not only do you feel me rushing the quarterback, but I can drop back in coverage and get picks and score touchdowns. I don't think Ware was a defensive MVP. I know James Harrison was. I know he had one of the best plays in the Super Bowl. So you want to talk about defensive to be an NFL defensive MVP. I'm not talking about candidate. I'm talking about actually winning. What are we talking about? So why would we put in this? No disrespect to Ware. I know Ware, but James Harrison got to go before Ware. You know, just the resume. Yeah, you can talk about the sacks. Debo got sacks, but bro, I got defensive league MVP. Have you ever done that before? And by the way, have you ever been to a Super Bowl and had one of the greatest returns ever? You know, 100-some yards before half. Like Debo was just Mr. Consistent. Like Debo for a 6-year span was the best outside linebacker in the NFL. So, and this is no disrespect. I'm just saying Ware does have his stats, but I don't think they asked Ware to drop back in coverage. I know we asked Debo to drop back in coverage plenty of times. If we would have asked that man just to rush the quarterback, he would have went for 20 sacks a year.
If you want to know about James Harrison's dominance in one single game, Mike, that Monday night game against the Ravens in 2007, I want to read you his stat lines and go look at the highlights. They're incredible. One game, 10 tackles, 6 quarterback hits, 3.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, an interception, and a fumble recovery. That's like a season for some players. And he did that in one game against your division rival, Baltimore Ravens.
So why are you going to put Ware before Debo?
The numbers are better. The numbers are better, Ike. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm looking at he had success both in Dallas and in Denver. The numbers are better. I think there's case for both of them, Ike, but I'm trying to put myself in the frame of mind of who's actually going to get in. And if you look at it on paper, it's not fair. And Ike, you know this better than anyone. They already think that there's too many Steelers in the Hall of Fame. So that's the reason why.
Right. Now, I respect
Whether
your
that's
opinion.
fair or not is a whole different debate.
Yes,
But
it's not fair. It's not fair. Like I said, we can't help that we draft well and we draft guys semifinalists or guys who are actually in the Hall of Fame. Pittsburgh can't help that. They've been
no,
doing this in the 70s. They can't help that. But I'm taking Debo before Ware. This is no disrespect to Ware.
both have had terrific careers. We'll see. I know
Correct.
that they'll whittle down the list one more time to name the finalists from 28. I Bleav they go down to like 10. So we'll see that. And I knew they do that
Right.
before the Super Bowl, like. So we will see. And congrats to both Ward and Harrison for even getting nominated, making it to this point again is a tremendous honor. And it's not like in the NBA where everyone gets in. You only get 5 per year in pro football. So we will see. Ike, we get to move on to my favorite segment. What y'all thinking? Our new segment where we get to interact with listeners and viewers. And Ike, we've got 4 comments to get through. We hear from Teresa first. She's a PGH expat living in the UK. She says she loves the show. Flew over last week across the pond to see the Steelers and Bengals last Sunday. She's wondering where the Steelers should get help in the first round of the draft. She mentions Georgia corner Keely Ringo, Ohio State offensive tackle Paris Johnson in the first round. But she's looking at DB. She's looking at linemen. So she turns to you, Ike Taylor, as a scout for the Steelers. Is there a position group, an area, a player that you've identified that you'd like to see the Steelers draft in the 2023 draft?
Mark, I'm gonna let you answer this question, but I will say
Okay.
we will be looking for the best available at whatever pick we have.
Such a political answer. I love it, Ike. I love it. So I will give you some info here. If the season ended today, the Steelers would have had the 8th, the 34th, and the 39th pick. Ike, you know how I like my Georgia Bulldogs, the 2 tight ends. I don't know how high that they're rated, but there is a player. Teresa mentioned the Ohio State tackle. There is a player in the Big Ten out of Northwestern. Peter Skoransky is an offensive tackle, left tackle. I kind of liken it to this, Ike. Rashawn Slater, the left tackle for the Chargers, serves as Justin Herbert's bodyguard. What if the Steelers get a bodyguard for Kenny Pickett for the years moving forward? Skoransky out of Northwestern dominates the line of scrimmage and consistently in the Big Ten. It doesn't matter who he goes up against. That is a player that I like. Listen, I would make the argument too, Ike, too. And I will say this because I know you work for the team. But other than TJ Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick, I could argue that you could upgrade every position on the team, and I'll leave that there.
Okay, I respect that.
All right.
You can't.
We will go to. I'm sorry?
You can't go wrong with offensive lineman.
Never. Ike Fat Tony writes us and says, Pickens is a pack-a-punched Brandon Lloyd with the christening of Hines Ward. He's a treasure. Fat Tony responding to our comments last week when we were talking about George Pickens, how he's the alien, how George Pickens is the alien. And Ike said that George Pickens, I forget who Ike said he reminded him of. We'll try to get Ike back again as we've lost him due to connection issues. Apologies to anyone watching the stream. But Fat Tony, thank you for weighing in about George Pickens. A punched up Brandon Lloyd. Shout out to Brandon Lloyd as well, the former U of I receiver. We're getting Ike back here on the show as his, again, apologies for the connection issues. Ike, what'd you think of Fat Tony's comparison saying that George Pickens is a punched up Brandon Lloyd? I forget who you compared Pickens to a week ago.
Yeah, Pickens just he's a hybrid, not hybrid. He really is an alien. That's why I call him Gap. George Alien P. You really I made a comparison, but just to backtrack off of what I said, you really can't compare GP, man. He different.
Okay.
He different, man. For a guy, the plays he's making are veteran plays. You know what I'm saying? And he's just a rookie. So we was talking about Diontae Johnson and him not having a rapport with Pickett. Oh, Pickett and Pickens, they definitely have that rapport.
Yes.
If anything fails, he's looking for GP all day, every day, and why not? You got a guy who is silky smooth, who's very aggressive, who might have, other than DeAndre Hopkins, some of the best ball skills.
With you there,
Skills in
Ike.
the
I am with you there with the rapport with Pickett as well. I recognize that too. We'll go to M. Puchar, who says, those Bumblebee jerseys were hideous, and Ike, they were your favorite.
Loved them.
Please rebut.
Loved them. Hey, listen here. Man, them Bumblebee jerseys, man, they be a lot. Them Bumblebee jerseys got pictures up on my wall. Them Bumblebee jerseys won us a lot of games. Them Bumblebee jerseys had my swag on 1,262. Them Bumblebee jerseys, man, just felt like, man, we just broke out. That's what I love them Bumblebee jerseys, man. It really was an old school 1933 Steagles when Pittsburgh and Philadelphia Eagles had combined. I felt like I was a part of that. So yeah, that's why it was one of my favorite jerseys.
Yeah, I know the Steelers and the Eagles, and I know they combined, I think it was like during the war, Ike, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I need to brush up on my Steelers history, Ike, but you are spot on there. So a tribute to history with the Bumblebee jerseys. Yeah. Last comment comes from someone who calls themselves Bilbo Baggins. I think this is hilarious. Says, I wish the draft was in Vegas every year. Kansas City does nothing for me. I used to be one of these people that said, keep it at Radio City Music Hall in New York City. But since the NFL has toured around the draft, they've had it in Chicago, Broadway, and Nashville. The streets were flooded with people. They just had it in Vegas. I liked Vegas. It's very grandiose, but it showcases the great cities in this country. And I think Kansas City is going to be on full display. That's where my immediate family lives now, my parents and my brother. You're going to see a side of Kansas City that you haven't seen before. Give it a shot. I was the same person who's saying, why are they moving out of New York City? And since they've had it in other cities, Ike, you've gotten to showcase some of the great cities that have NFL teams. Give Kansas City a shot.
Just when you're able to travel and you go to different cities, when it comes down to this NFL draft, you're learning a piece of that city and you learning some new history, something you probably wasn't taught in school that went on in that city. That's what I love about the city, and it also put, them cities on the map. You go to the mom and pop restaurants. You see the culture of different cities. You see how certain cities come together. You see what they can provide, for people in them cities. You see what the life like is in them cities. So the reason why I love that the NFL did go from city to city, you just learn the history every year. From every city, man, you learn a piece of something, because when it comes down to the commercials and the communities in different cities, they have something local to say. Hey, when you come to Chicago, you should go here. When you come to KC, you should go here. When you go to Vegas, you should go here. When you come to New York, you should go here. When you come to Nashville, you should go here. So that's for me. I just look at it because I'm a National Geographic kind of guy. So every city that the NFL draft go to, I just learn a piece of that city when it comes down to the history.
Ike, tremendous answer. And if any of our listeners or viewers need recommendations in any of the cities you just listed, I've been to them all. Hit your boy up because I'm with you there. And you try something authentic that you've never had before, whether it's food, whether it's drink, it's the culture. You learn something new and you just, and then you can share that with others. So again, I used to be, when they first moved this out of New York, I'm like, what are they doing? Now I love it. We get to see and showcase the great cities throughout the country. I'm telling you, give Kansas City a shot. You're going to be surprised. So Ike, that was what y'all thinking. I had fun with this again, and our viewers seem to really, really like it. So Ike, you nailed it on the first try too of, hey, what should we name this segment? What y'all thinking? I'm excited to have this continue to be a part of our show.
Hey, make sure whoever's tuning in, matter of fact, everybody who's tuning into our show, make sure y'all give us a bunch of questions because we love this with y'all segment.
Absolutely. Ike, we will move on. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. By the time people see this, it will be Thanksgiving Day. We'll do a quick draft. We'll do a snake draft. We'll do 3 each. You can pick any Thanksgiving dish. I will give you the first pick. I think I know the direction you're going to go in. You'll pick, I'll pick 2, you'll pick your last 2, and I'll pick my last one. We'll do 3 each. You get the first pick. I think I know where you're going.
You already know I'm going to say the seafood gumbo. Hey, I'm starting off with seafood gumbo. You up, you on the clock.
Oh, it's an excellent choice, Ike, because it is delicious. A little bit of everything. You got the shrimp, the rice, the broth, a little bit of kick to it as well. It is fantastic. I got to go turkey. I just made my first turkey this past weekend. I knocked it out of the park. I was very nervous, but the key ingredient, lemon. There was garlic in there. There's butter. There's obviously salt, pepper, rosemary, thyme. But the key ingredient for my turkey was lemon, and it was fantastic. I did a great job. I will take the next pick as well. Here, hop in, Ike, while I look at my next pick for
you put some of that Mark Bergin on that turkey. That's why that thing came out.
Oh yeah. I celebrated early, had a Friendsgiving. I am working tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day, so that's the reason I celebrated early. I'm going to go with mashed potatoes as well. Just a classic, easy to eat, delicious, don't need to cut anything. And I could eat a whole plate of mashed potatoes and be content. I'll take mashed potatoes with number 2. You're up next.
Number 2, man, I'm gonna go with this dirty rice. You know, my mama, she just got me some dirty rice. I'm just sitting here with the dirty rice. So it's all the time with the little dirty rice. My number 2 is dirty rice.
All right, so you get dirty rice with number 2, Ike, and then you get the third pick as well. You get the next pick as well because we're going to do snake style.
Oh man, you know me. I love me some bread, but you got to put the corn in front of it. So cornbread is my third. I eat a whole loaf of cornbread.
See, Ike, you draft a little bit different. You draft a little bit different, but it's always spot on because when you say it, I'm like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, that cornbread hits something different, man. Got that sugar in there, got that honey in there. She put some corn, a little bit of corn in there, and that thing be soft, man. You can just eat that bread. You can just eat that bread with water.
Ike, I'm tempted to go mac and cheese with my last dish, but I've already got the side with the potatoes. I got the main fare with the turkey. Give me pumpkin pie. I could eat all the pumpkin pie, throw some whipped cream on top. Give me a whole pie. I'll take pumpkin pie with my last pick.
That's 3 good dishes, bro. We're on 2 different sides of the world, so we might got to swap menus and see what it look like.
I can't wait until our viewers and commenters are so mad because we don't have stuffing or dressing or anything like that. And it's like, hey, this is my Thanksgiving here too. Mac and cheese was close up on my list too. You get the roasted carrots. You can get green beans. There's a lot of different things, Ike, but that's what I would pick. I'm going to pick mashed potatoes, the turkey, and the pie. You've got the gumbo. You've got the dirty rice and the cornbread. And listen, we had all 6 of those dishes, we'd be living.
100%.
All right, Ike, week 12 picks. Excited. We've got 3 games. Thanksgiving Day starts out Bills and Lions. And it's been Jamal Williams for the Lions since DeAndre Swift had an early season injury. And the Bills go back to their quote-unquote home stadium because Ford Field is where they played a week ago when they couldn't host the Cleveland Browns in Buffalo because there was like 8 feet of snow on the ground. And I'm not even exaggerating here. So they go back to Buffalo for a few days, and now they're going back to Detroit. Bills 9.5-point favorite, Lions hosting on Thanksgiving. Who you got in this matchup? And we've lost Ike yet again. Apologies for the connection issues. 9.5 points. I will go with the Bills. I like the Bills, and running the ball is going to be key for them late in the season. Ike, it's a 9.5-point spread. I'll take the Bills on Thanksgiving, and apologies, we look to have him. I'll give the Bills. We'll keep this thing rolling. Giants and Cowboys. This line was at 9. It is now at 10. Reason being, Giants are decimated by injuries. Adoree Jackson is out. Fabian Moreau is out at the cornerback position. Going to be tough to stop CeeDee Lamb. And then you've got major injuries along the Giants' offensive line that helped Saquon Barkley get going on the ground. So Joe Feliciano is out. Evan Neal is out. Joshua Zudu is out. Shane Lemieux is out. So you've got Lemieux is out. Apologies. You've got a lot of players out for the Giants. Cowboys, that line has now moved to 10 points. It was at 9 points. I will take the Cowboys to cover at home on Thanksgiving. considering all of the injuries to the Giants. I ripped through really quickly. Bills, I'm going to take the Bills as the 9.5-point favorite. The Cowboys as the 9-point favorite. And then Patriots at Vikings. The Vikings a 3-point favorite. However, the Vikings, like the Giants, dealing with a lot of injuries. Key injury here, left tackle Christian Darrisaw not playing for the Vikings. So considering that Darrisaw is going to be out with a concussion, he hasn't practiced this week. You're also without Andrew Booth, the cornerback. They're out without a starting cornerback, 2 starting cornerbacks. Dalvin Tomlinson is well for the Vikings. They're not going to play. Those 3 players aren't going to play. Tomlinson is questionable. I will take the Patriots to cover on the road against the Vikings on Thanksgiving. So those are my 3 Thanksgiving Day picks. Get you through a few other games. Sunday, Bengals at Titans. I like the way that the Titans and Bengals are playing this time of the season. This game's kind of a coin flip, but I'm going to take the Titans at home. It's really going to depend on how effective Derrick Henry can be. And then, is Joe Mixon going to play? Are you going to get him back from injury? That's going to be a key for the Bengals there. I'll take the Titans at home. Bucks at Browns. Bucks, 3.5-point favorite against the Browns on the road. This will be the last game the Browns are without Deshaun Watson. And in 7 games left in the season, the Bucks are a heavy favorite to win the NFC South division. So that being said, I will take the Bucks on the road against the Browns. Browns have been really struggling at 3-7 this season. Really struggling this season. Ravens at Jags. Ravens 4-point favorite. There's a reason the Ravens are still the favorites to win the AFC North. They lead the Bengals by 1 game in the AFC North division. I'll take the Ravens against the Jags. Bears at Jets is a total coin flip to me because not sure if Justin Fields is going to play with the shoulder injury. Not sure. Not sure if he'll play. And then Mike White is going to start in favor of Zach Wilson. The Jets benching Zach Wilson. We find that out today. If Justin Fields plays, I think the Bears have a shot on the road. But without Justin Fields, I don't see any way that Chicago wins. Jets need a win to remain competitive in the AFC East. I'll take the Jets at home there. And Sunday night, Packers and Eagles. Eagles 7-point favorite. And what's gone on with the Eagles the last few weeks? You might think, oh, well, they've slipped up. They aren't the same team that we've seen. It's been the turnovers. They were number 1 in turnovers in weeks 1 through 9 in turnover differential, with 18 turnovers forced while just committing 3 turnovers of their own. They've turned the ball over 6 times in the last 2 games, and they've ranked 31st in the league in the last 2 games in turnover differential at -3. The Eagles hang on to the ball. I think they cover and win against the Packers on Sunday night at home at the Link in Philly. So all those things said, I would take the Eagles at home. They've just got to protect the football. That's going to be the key for them. This has been another edition of Bleav in Steelers. I'm Mark Bergin. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch Ike and I want to thank today's sponsor, betonline.ag. I want to thank Ike for his time for joining us on the show. Apologies for the technical issues. We will work to get him back next week. If you listen to our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review. If you're watching on YouTube, go leave us that 5-star review and leave us an insightful comment so we can use it in our What Y'all Thinking segment. Enjoy the Week 12 action and happy Thanksgiving to all. Again, my name is Mark Bergin, signing off. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch Bleav in Steelers and enjoy the Week 12 action.